What if I told you there is a first person shooter that has better shooting mechanics than Battlefield and Call of Duty, better weapon customization, and better player customization than those two games, but that this game is slowly dying? This is World War 3. It launched in September 2022 with a peak player count of 11,623, but now it's hitting a peak of 1,974, and it looks like that number will fall again. But why? Well, on launch, it did have a number of issues. The first one being that it used a third party downloader on Steam to actually download the full game onto your system. This third party downloader was and is still pretty terrible. It downloads really slowly and it uses a combination of peer to peer and traditional server downloading, so you will be uploading content to other players as well. Another big issue on launch were login issues. Once you had finally downloaded the game, which for many people took hours and hours because of the slow download speeds, they couldn't even get into the game because of various login issues. And I experienced many of these issues. And with any game, you like to play it with your friends, and there were many party issues. It just had issues trying to get people onto your friends list and trying to just get a party of people together. And sometimes when you'd get a party together, you would go to join a match, but then not everyone would actually make it into that match. And yes, there were server issues as well, just general lag, servers crashing. The game was constantly being taken down for maintenance to try and help fix and resolve these issues, and there were a lot of sound issues as well. One of the examples of these sound issues would be a tank close to you would be shooting, but it would sound like it's really far away, and you would hear tanks from far away, and they'll sound up close. There was a lot of weird sound issues. And these combination of issues on launch put a lot of people off, and quite rightly, to be honest. Any game you launch today on Steam, whether it's a beta release or an early access, it pretty much has to be perfect on launch. Because, well, even if you label it as early access, the general public will not accept it as a bug riddled or server issue riddled mess. It has to be pretty much as perfect as a full release. There is just too much competition now in every genre to launch a game with multiple issues, especially if it's a free to play game. Because if it's free to play, you just leave it. You haven't spent any money to play it, so you just don't go back to it. You haven't lost anything. If you've had to purchase it, then people may try and stick around to play it, especially once the issues have been fixed. And since the game was in early access, technically for a number of years, a lot of the, we'll say, original players of World War 3 before it relaunched last year have experienced just pretty much all the content that game has. So for these, we'll say, original players, there's just a lack of new content. And I think all these issues have come together and it's stopped people even just wanting to come back to the game. And a lot of these people just won't even come back to the game because it still uses a third party downloader. And it's a big shame because World War 3 is a really good first person shooter. I actually started this channel a good few years ago making some content for World War 3. And today I still play the game and it's better than ever. So why should you play World War 3? Well, in my opinion, it's got some of the best gunplay around for a first-person shooter, especially for this style of first-person shooter. It's not like a casual shooter and it's not a hardcore shooter. It's sort of in between. Most people use assault rifles in really any first-person shooter, and for assault rifles, you're looking at 2 to 5 shots for an assault rifle kill. Now, it depends on what body part and what armor you hit, but if you just get straight body shots, you are looking at 3 shots to kill. And the rifles have a very small bullet drop off, so long range assault rifle shots are completely possible. And you're still looking at like 3, 4 shots, 5 shots at long range. And that's pretty much across the entire map. Other first person shooters like Call of Duty and Battlefield will have an extreme bullet damage drop off. So for really long range assault rifle gunfights, it's possible, but you have to dump so many bullets in someone to actually kill them, but not in World War 3. And the maps are really well designed for the player count in World War 3. There is a smaller player count in this game, and that may put a lot of people off. In the Conquest mode, which is the main mode, I think it's 20v20, so yeah, that may put you off, but you will always be fighting people. You won't be running around on huge maps just doing nothing for a long period of time. You'll be able to get into combat really, really quickly. One thing that may sound good to some people and also not to some other people is that there are no kill streaks in the game. There are something called score streaks, which allow you to do pretty much the same thing as a kill streak, but these score streaks you get with points. If you remember Battlefield 5, you would, as a squad leader, you would accrue points from your squad performing well, doing objectives, getting kills, and then you could use those points to call in a few certain things. Well, it sort of works like that, but for each individual person in the game. It's not just a squad leader, it's everyone. And you can call in things like artillery, bombing runs, drones, tanks, other armored vehicles, UAVs, and jammers. And since you get these streaks with getting points, which you can get points just from killing people, you get more points from hitting the objectives. So it just promotes objective play straight away, because you do want to get your artillery, you do want your bombing runs, you do want to be able to call in the big tanks, because they do just wreck people. But how can this game recover and bring old people back and new people in? Well, my suggestions are to ditch the third-party downloader. Now, I believe this is actually happening because when the game was originally re-releasing, My.Games were the publisher, and they provided this third-party downloader. It's their own downloader, but they are no longer the publisher. But they are temporarily doing some publisher stuff in the background while it sort of worked on behind the scenes to be able to transition it over to the new publishers. So the third-party downloader from My.Games will be going. I just can't confirm if it's going to use a different third-party downloader, which I would highly suggest not to do, or just go back to how it was when it first released a good few years ago, which was just using Steam. Just put it back on Steam. I can confirm that the login, party, server, and sound issues from launch have all been fixed. I will say that quite a few of the guns in the game just don't sound good. And by good, I don't mean it in terms of like audio quality. The actual sound they generate is high quality sound. It's just that they sound a bit weak. I think they should really try to revamp most of the gun sounds in the game. And of course they should bring in some new maps. While the original maps have been redesigned in some way, all of the maps apart from DMZ were kind of original maps. So there's only been one real new map in a few years. Bear in mind that the relaunch happened at the end of last year, so new maps will come, but when it comes to releasing the next map, I really think they should be looking to drop 2 new maps straight away. Yes, there was a TDM map, but it's a really small map and you don't really play it for TDM. You want the bigger tactical conquest mode because you have so much more options available in terms of actually using vehicles and stuff like that. And talking of modes, it needs new modes. At the moment there's only 2 modes, which is tactical conquest and team deathmatch. Recently there was a limited timed domination mode, but they took it out the game. They announced it as a limited time mode, but I think they should have kept it in. But they should also develop a unique new mode, something that no other first person shooter has, because too many first person shooters use conquest or a form of conquest in their game. Battlefield does it, Call of Duty Ground War does it, Domination is just a form of conquest, Hell Let Loose, Postscriptum, Squad, they all use a form of conquest, which is pretty much run up to that area and just stand there for a bit until your bar fills up and you've taken that point. We need something different. And then once you've done all that, devs, give the game a big marketing push. Put ads on YouTube, Reddit, just generally out on the internet. Announce a new Twitch Drops campaign and try and rope in some bigger name Twitch streamers to get extra eyes onto your game. I know a Twitch Drop campaign was attempted, but I think it was abandoned because there were some issues behind the scenes. I'm not entirely sure on that, but get a Twitch Drop campaign in. I would highly recommend to any of you watching this, if you haven't played World War 3, or if you tried to last year and just couldn't get round the third-party downloader or the login issues, try it now, because I believe you will not be disappointed in the game. It is a damn good first-person shooter, and I stand by it, saying that it has better shooting mechanics than Battlefield and Call of Duty. Let me know about your experience of World War 3 down below. Have you played it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Or will you try it? Thank you guys for watching. Give this video a like if you did, dislike if you didn't, subscribe for more, and I'll see you on the next one.